Hello everyone and welcome to episode 19 of my World of Warcraft Let's Play. Today I am probably just going to be doing a bunch of random things around Duskwood today, including at the very start here turning in a couple of quests. So here we have a quest that we picked up from Abercrombie last episode for zombie juice, and you can go ahead and try to get some zombie juice from Tavern Keep Smiths here. However, to do so we have to go get 8 rot blossoms and bring them back. And you can get rot blossoms from somewhere around the world. Let's go ahead, and it looks like we can just get them from zombies around Duskwood. So we can go ahead and go farm some of those zombies. We also have another quest that we can turn in over here for the shadowy figure. I believe this is a quest that we picked up from Yorgen, where we are trying to discover who was at his farm the night that his family died. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. If you have something that belongs to the shadowy figure for whom you seek, then let me see it. I may be able to divine something of its owner. And she says, someone handled this book recently. Someone who's driven by revenge. But the impressions left on it, at least the impressions from the original owner, are faint. I can tell, however, that the original owner of this book is not a native of Darkshire. Let's go ahead and turn this in. And then she says, here is your book back, Athos, and I bid you fortune with your search. If you ask others in town, perhaps they can offer you more clues, and here's one more for you. Although the author of this book is a stranger to Darkshire, the book itself was purchased here. So see if other townsfolk have clues about the shadowy figure. So let's go ahead and come over here and we can talk to Clark Daughtry, who is kind of like the book person here in Darkshire, and we can see if he knows anything about this shadowy figure that we are trying to find. Let's go ahead and talk to him. And he says, sometimes I'll sell blank books to scholars and mages or to anyone who wants to keep a journal. I remember well everyone to whom I sold a book within the last few months. Ah, yes. I sold this book a month ago to a shady person. He didn't tell me his name, but he was a nervous, jittery chap, always looking over his shoulder. I hope that helps you. Inquire at the inn. Here is your book, and good luck with your inquiries. You might want to expand your search to the inn. If the person whom you seek spent time in town, then chances are someone saw him there. So, we know this person is kind of a shady and jittery person. Let's go ahead and come right over here, across the street here, into the inn. And we can go ahead and see if people around here know anything. Let's go ahead and talk to Smiths here. And he says, the Scarlet Raven doesn't see the business it used to, but we still do get travelers passing through. If you can describe the person you're looking for, maybe I'll remember him. Oh yeah, I remember this book. Its owner rented a room for a few days and spent his nights at the bar writing. He left town in a hurry, muttering about being hunted by something. Last I saw him, he was heading west out of town, looking for a new spot to hide. The first place he'd find to the west is Ravenhill. Let's go ahead and turn that in. And then he says, good luck, Athos. I hope you find the chap, and I hope you find him alive. If he's left the safety of Darkshire, then he could be prey to the beasts in the wilds. Find the shadowy figure. Your clues. He is not native to Darkshire. He is a nervous, jittery person. He left Darkshire and headed west, presumably to Ravenhill. So I think we are going to go ahead and head west towards Ravenhill, and we can see if we can find this person. So here we are back at Ravenhill, and let's go ahead and come up into this little town square here, and we can see that there is an individual here that we have interacted with many times called Jitters, which presumably means he is a very jittery person, and I think he might have mentioned something about not being from Darkshire at some point. I can't entirely remember. So let's go ahead and talk to him. And he says, who are you? Leave me be. He completely forgot everything we've done for him. And he sighs and says, yes, I'm the author of that book. You finally found me, eh? Well, if you read that journal, then you only know the half of it. The book you found was only half finished. I had to leave it at Sven's farm when I fled there. Here, take my completed journal to Sven. It describes more fully what happened at his farm. Although this journal has been my only company these past weeks, if giving it up keeps me from having to face Sven and his wrath, then I do it willingly. Let's go ahead and take the journal, and you can go ahead and read it here. Jitter's completed journal. So I believe starting on page 7 here, might be a little bit later, but it reads, or perhaps I am doomed to witness the change I wrought on Duskwood. Perhaps it is my fate to watch as the Worgen tear into this land, staining it ever darker with their foulness. If that truly is my fate, then it is twofold, for the Worgen are not the only power to clutch at Duskwood. The fiends from Deadwind Pass have also staked claim. That is the next chapter of my tale, and I pray it is the last. After surviving the flight from Roland's doom, I hid within a barn owned by a man named Sven. I spent a few days in the barn, and such horror lingered with me that I never once made myself known to Sven or his family. But from what I saw from my hiding place, I knew these farmers were quite decent folk. I think we actually read this. Let's just go ahead and continue on. Had I stepped from my concealment, I think they would have taken me in, but trust is hard for me, harder still after that shock in the mine. So I remained hidden, and it saved my life. A few days after I arrived at the barn, Sven left his farm for Darkshire. He kissed his wife and smiled to his children and promised to return soon with toys and sweets. The poor man, that was the last time he saw his family unmutilated. At least they parted happily, and at least his wife was the first to die and was freed from seeing the slaughter of her children. But these small graces do nothing for me. I saw what happened, and it will ever haunt my dreams. My hands tremble as I recall the details of that night. When Sven was away and his family was doomed to face the Black Riders alone, again regret claws at me. For I was there and could have risen against those fiends from Deadwind Pass, but it was a false regret. It is the same that plagues any survivor of a tragedy. I know that, had I left my place of hiding, I too would have been killed. My body ripped and torn, and its pieces spread so widely that I would not be recognized. But even though I know I could have done nothing to stop this heinous murder, one true regret does remain. I brought the Black Riders to Sven's farm. My discovery of the scythe not only unleashed the Worgen upon Duskwood, it drew the riders from Deadwind Pass. I know this because, just before they began their slaughter, they asked one question to Sven's wife as she held her children close, giving them what comfort she could, though she was certain death was near. The scythe of Elune, one of the riders shrieked in a voice both harsh and shrill, like the grinding of an axe on stone, and the last word, Elune, it croaked, as if choking on the sound. Dread gripped me when I heard that voice, both from the horrid sound of it and because I knew the scythe of which the rider spoke. It must be the same cursed thing I drew from the rocks of Roland's doom days before. It was what the Black Rider sought, and it was what would kill Sven's family. I never learned the name of Sven's wife, as she was only ever called Dearest and My Love and Mommy by her husband and children, but I wish I knew it. I am the only living memory of her deed that day, and although she was just a farmer's wife, never have I seen a man or woman act with such bravery. Of course, she did not know of the scythe, but when she learned the rider sought it, an instant plan formed in her head. And it was bold and clever, if only it had worked. The scythe, she said in a calm voice. Of course I do. Who here wouldn't? She looked at the riders with steady eyes, and I would have sworn she spoke the truth if I had not known better. There is no way she could have known about the scythe. Her gambit paid off. The same rider who uttered the question before it bent his head slightly toward her and shrieked, "Where?" "I'll take you, all of you," she said, and I could see a small hope flicker behind her eyes. "But the way is far, and my children would slow us. We must leave them." Her trick was simple, but simple tricks have the best hope of success. If it worked, it would lead the riders away from the farm. She would be lost, but her children would be safe, and it would work, if only the riders believed her noble lies. Although I have never been a student of the light, I prayed fiercely for Sven's wife as she stood against those terrible riders. Please, I prayed, let them believe. They stood, frozen, and she met their gazes with calm. Then one rider looked up as if hearing a distant call. He drew from his garb a small gem and peered into it. He then gestured with a bauble towards Sven's wife. A light crept from the rider toward the woman, shaping itself into a grim white hand. She stared into the light, unflinching, but I could see uncertainty behind her mask of confidence. When the hand reached her, it spread its fingers over her head, and it squeezed. Sven's wife stood rigid as a board, and her eyes grew wide, and although her lips pulled back to mouth a scream, no sound escaped. After a few moments of this torture, the hand released her, dropping her to her knees. The rider who held the bauble then sat erect in his saddle, and a loud voice erupted from it. "The woman lies," it said in a voice that has scarred my dreams. "She has not seen the scythe." After this, the rider's shoulders stooped slightly, as if a spirit within him had fled. And then in the old shrieking voice it used earlier, these final words were uttered. "The Lord has spoken. Kill them." I cannot describe what happened next. It is clear in my mind, but even my wretched soul cannot put to paper the events of those next few grisly minutes. I can only write that Sven's family was killed, and soon after Sven returned to this grim, deathly scene. Such grief was in him that I was afraid to show myself, and so afraid was I that he would find me. I fled from my hiding spot in the barn. I do not know where Sven is now, but I pray he will someday find peace. I spent the next few weeks moving from place to place, never lingering for fear of the riders. I am now in the abandoned town of Ravenhill, as always, hiding. I cannot face whatever power they used against Swin's wife, and I know it searches Duskwood, even still, for the scythe. It is lost to me, and I thank the light for this, for had I kept it, I know I would have been found. Even now, I know in my heart that I will be found. I'm so tired. So there is the completed journal of Jitters, and we now know that Jitters was the individual who was at Swin Yorgen's farm the night that his wife and his children were murdered by the Dark Riders from Deadwind Pass. Let's go ahead and head back over towards Swin's camp, and we can go ahead and give him this information and see what he wants to do next. We now know of this relic of the Scythe of Elune, which is a very important relic, and when it was taken from Roland's Doom, Worgen appeared all over Duskwood, and the Worgen continue to haunt Duskwood still. And we also know that the Dark Riders from Deadwind Pass have come into Duskwood and are searching for the Scythe of Elune, and that might be a potential problem that we have to deal with in the future. I just noticed right here there are 3 graves. I don't think those are the graves of Swin Yorgen's wife and their 2 children. I believe it was 2 children, but maybe that is. Not entirely sure. But we are back here at this camp, so let's go ahead and chat with him. See what he has to say. And he says, this journal explains much to me and sets me on the path against the Dark Riders. I have seen these riders in Duskwood and have seen them speak with the wizard Morbin Fell at the Forlorn Row. Morbin Fell is a necromancer and an ally to the Dark Riders. I would pity you against the power of Morbin Fell, but I will not send you against that vile fiend without first knowing your strength. You have already proven your bravery to me, but if you truly wish to face the necromancer, then you must now prove your skills against his minions. So now we have a quest that we can work on to fight the minions of Morbin Fell. Let's take a look at this quest here, proving your worth, and it is a red level quest, which level 28, so I think that is going to be something that we don't deal with this episode. We can go ahead and poke our head over here for a moment, and we can kind of get a glimpse of Ravenhill Cemetery, and then maybe we could kill just a few things around here, see what's kind of going on here, and then we can go ahead and head back to Darkshire, and we can go and work on a quest around there. Here we see there are a bunch of level 27, level 28 skeletons there, so I don't think we really even have a chance to fight any of them, so we can just note this in our brain here that we need to be like level 28 to come back here and work on this quest. So let's go ahead and head back to Darkshire. Here we are back in Darkshire, and I just noticed here there's an engineering trainer and a couple of other gnomes here as well, and this is a higher level engineering trainer, so we can't even learn basic engineering, but here there's an engineering and mining supplies, and if we take a look here, he might be able to sell us a bronze tube. It looks like it's not in stock right now, but we can go ahead and just leave an eye on this every now and then, and maybe it will show up here in his list of stock available. But if not, we can go ahead and just go to the auction house and buy one there. But now I'm going to go ahead and head south from Darkshire, and I'm going to go ahead and work on a couple of quests over here. So I'm kind of taking a look at the Gather Rot Blossoms quest that we have, and then I am also taking a look at the Night Watch quest we have here, and then also slowly working on the Totem of Infliction as well, that we will probably be working on in future episodes. But mostly just looking at the Night Watch and Gather Rot Blossoms. So we're going to be killing a bunch of skeletal warriors and skeletal mages, and then potentially whatever drops the Rot Blossoms. I think it's zombies, but it might drop. Oh, it drops from skeletal horrors and skeletal fiends. So let's go ahead and go fight a bunch of them down here. So here we are at Tranquil Garden Cemetery, and we can go ahead and work on completing these quests. We need to fight 6 mages and 8 warriors, so we should be able to complete that part of the quest pretty easily, and hopefully within that time we will be able to get 8 rot blossoms from these different undead around here. But if we don't, we can go ahead and just fight a little bit more until we get all that we need. First one down really easily. Taking a look around this area, it looks like it's just kind of like a classic cemetery, but there is some sort of abandoned abbey there, and I would guess that all the undead around here are probably ones that came up from the graves here in the cemetery, which is very unfortunate for those that were buried there, because their bones are now mine this undead, but we can go ahead and clear out the cemetery, hopefully bring some peace back to those people, and I can also gain some loot on the way too. Looks like these skeleton mages do deal quite a bit of damage, so we are going to need to be careful about them just in case we pull too many. But I of course I'm a mage. I constantly have food and water at my disposal, so I don't need to worry too much about saving resources on like health and mana, because I can just heal in between every single fight. I also noticed over there, it's kind of walked away now, but there's an insane ghoul there, so that might be something we come back for at some point. Oh, it's right there. It's level 26, and I am level 23, and it's kind of wandering over here. So I might just walk this way a little bit and hopefully not have to deal with that insane ghoul. Though maybe we could probably take it one-on-one. Let's go ahead and fight the skeletal warrior real quick. And then I can restore mana. And might as well just fight it. See, maybe it'll drop something quite nice for us. Oh, it is walking back over there. I'll go ahead and just pull it anyways. Let's go ahead and see what he offers us. Can go ahead and cast a fireball as well. And then I'll go back to using frost bolts. It's nice that we got a good critical hit there. I can go ahead and frost nova. The frost nova did not work. That is okay. He is doing something. He just cast a curse on us that increases physical damage taken by 13. So that's not going to be good while we're fighting the warriors around here, which is very unfortunate. And he only dropped 55 copper, but I feel satisfied because we completed a little bit of a difficult challenge right there. Let's go ahead and fight more of these warriors and mages. It looks like these warriors have decently low health, so as we're casting a ton of frostbolts at them, they seem to die really fast. The mages seem more on the tough end of enemies, so I guess that's a good thing that we got a physical damage taken curse instead of a magical damage taken curse, because I would not want to be taking extra magical damage right now. I feel like that would be a very bad time for us. It also seems nice right now. Oh, we just got a skeleton finger. That is nice. But as I was saying, it also seems nice right now because there looks to be more warriors around here than mages, and we do need a couple more warriors than we need mage kills. So this quest does indeed say that it drops from skeletal horrors and skeletal fiends. So maybe it is not any of these mages or warriors right here, though I have a feeling it is. Not entirely sure. We are getting skeleton fingers, which is nice, but we might have to look around a little bit more to try to find some of these mobs. The Tavern Keep does say that Ravenhouse Cemetery and the Tranquil Gardens are both lousy with those skeletons, so I'm sure that there are some around here. I am sure that the Tavern Keep would not be lying to us. Let's go ahead and just focus on our Night Watch quest first. I guess we are also getting some skeleton fingers for our Totem of Infliction quest. And then I'll go ahead and look around for these Rod Blossoms. Not entirely sure. I'm just hoping that we'll get one as a drop at some point here. And then we'll just spend a ton of time around here just fighting some zombies, or skeletons rather, over and over and over again until we are able to complete that quest and return to the inn in Darkshire. This area in particular is really kind of giving me some more like appreciation for like the world as a whole, because this just feels like, I know, like a random area in the world, but it's also like a very prominent area in the world. And when we look at like, especially like the vanilla version of the game, there's just an obscene amount of different locations that you can explore, and like a ton of different areas where you can fight monsters, do quests, and discover some cool locations. And I just really appreciate like how much stuff that there is. Of course, in like any open world game, there is of course a ton of stuff that you can explore all the time. But for some reason, in like the classic version of World of Warcraft, exploring like specific areas feels like much more impactful. Where I feel like right here, I am forming like a really solid memory that I'm probably going to be holding for the rest of my life. I'm just fighting skeletons around here, where I've not been here too much in like my past questing experiences like throughout the zone, and it's kind of nice to just like be here right now just fighting a bunch of stuff here. I don't think I've ever been back here. I think when I've come here to do this quest, I just like stay near the entrance, but I'm kind of going all around here and exploring here, which is very fun. There are a ton of areas in this game where like walking through them, I get like a blast of nostalgia, or like a blast of like positive memories, where like I remember like going through there and exploring that thing, and I remember like maybe some like aspect of like my life that's going on, such as maybe I remember like a TV show that I was watching while playing the game, or I just remember something important going on like in real life as well, which is always a ton of fun to like be able to re-experience those memories and stuff. And it's one of the primary reasons why I kind of want to record this Let's Play, so I can kind of record this world where I'm able to come back to this whenever I want. And I still have not gotten any rot blossoms from any of these skeletal warriors here, so I'm going to go ahead and probably just finish the Night Watch quest. I might come up here really quickly and see if I can try to figure something out here. So I just took a look at my map and also looked at some online resources real quick, and it looks like we want to head a little bit north of here in order to get our rot blossoms. So I'll go ahead and just clear up this Night Watch quest, and then we can go ahead and head back up there. We want to go to Blind Mary's home, which we were at last episode, and we can go ahead and fight some of the zombies outside of there in order to complete this quest. Though I might not complete every single part of it, because I believe I get another quest, which actually might be the next quest in this Night Watch chain. So let's go ahead and just pick that up real quick, and then let's go ahead and run over here, and I'll go ahead and return to Darkshire real quick and see what this next part of the quest is here. I guess I'll run through here on the way there just to take a look at the zombies that are out here and see if you could maybe pick one up on the way through, and also to make sure that this is the right location that we want to be at. So looking in here, there are a ton of skeletal horrors, and these are indeed the skeletons that we want to fight for this Rot Blossom quest. So let's go ahead and fight some of them. I just almost died there. This is a very stressful situation, and I think wow. I had to use a health potion there. Let's go ahead and heal up real quick. I did not get a Rot Blossom from that skeletal horror. I'm surprised that that dealt so much damage to me. So the next part of the Night Watch quest is indeed to come fight skeletal horrors. So I'm going to go ahead and run to Darkshire real quick, and we can go ahead and then run back here. Something I've just noticed here that I haven't paid too much attention to is the farmstead that's like right outside of Darkshire. I feel like I just run through here and not even realize that there's a farm building there and a barn there and a couple of fields. That is very cool. As I was kind of just saying, there's a lot of detail in the world, and it just makes the world feel more complete and more homey and more of like an RPG and more of an adventuring experience as well. Let's go ahead, talk to Commander Althea Ebenlock, turn in this quest, pick up the next one, and then we can go ahead and head back over towards this farm over here. So this next part of our Night Watch quest is actually decently high level, and we're not going to be completing it this episode, and I might not actually gather all the Rot Blossoms. We'll see what the drop rate is like, but we need to fight 15 skeletal horrors, and we need to fight 15 skeletal fiends. And I believe both the fiends and horrors spawn at the Ravenhill Cemetery, and only the horrors, or only the fiends, which one was it? Only the horrors spawn here. We can go ahead and fight some of these skeletons here, and we're not going to be able to complete the entire quest here, but we might be able to get enough Rot Blossoms that we need in order to bring it back to the Tavern Keep so we can get some zombie juice. And we got one Rot Blossom there, so that's off to a good start. Let's go ahead and hopefully get some more. Got another Rot Blossom there, that is very nice. These skeletal horrors are definitely some of the more challenging mobs that we have been fighting in Duskwood, at least in my opinion. Though they are level 23, and this zone does go up to level 30, so obviously there's some more challenging stuff. But at the level appropriate mobs that we've been fighting, these are definitely harder than the other skeletons that we've been fighting, as well as like the wargs and spiders around here that we have been dealing with for our quests. And we got a skeleton finger there. That's very nice. I absolutely love having those in my bags right now. So we just got a Rot Blossom and a silk cloth, and I believe that's the first piece of silk cloth that we have gotten. And I am still in kind of the area of tailoring where I need to use a bunch of wool cloth, and we haven't gotten too much, so hopefully I'll be getting more in the future. But I am only level 88, and I think I need to be 125 or something in order to even use silk cloth for anything in order to make bolts. So hopefully we'll get some more wool cloth in the future. Speaking of all that wool cloth stuff, I definitely need to go back to Stormwind at some point and work on my tailoring skill, so we can go ahead and get the skill up a little bit so we can get to 125 so we can use the silk cloth. And I am at 4 out of 8 on the rot blossoms now, which is very nice. Let's go ahead and try to find some more of these skeletons here, because I cleared them all out in the middle here, but it looks like they are all up in the hills as well. So let's go ahead and just clear all of this out. And as I was just talking about wanting to get more wool cloth, I just got 2 wool cloth right there, so that is going to be very helpful for our tailoring purposes. I believe with tailoring, you need more cloth for each tier you go up. So a bolt of linen cloth costs 2 linen, and then a bolt of woolen cloth costs 3 wool, and I believe silk will require us to have 4, so that is something I'll look forward to, as tailoring requires more and more grinding in order to level up. And it looks like some of these skeletal horrors have respawned in the center here, so we can go ahead and clear them out. Hopefully get 4 more rot blossoms. We're at about half complete with the amount we have to fight for the night watch, as well as half the amount of rot blossoms that we need to gather. So it looks like we're on good pace to kind of not waste either of the questing there. And that skeleton just instantly respawned as we killed it. Let's go ahead and try to heal up really quickly. I'm definitely going to need to conjure some more mana here. And I still have an oil of Olaf that we can use at some point. Maybe when we are coming over here to fight all these higher level quests, we can go ahead and use that. But let's go ahead and fight the skeleton again. I also have this flash bundle here. Let's go ahead and just use one. Oh, so it's an instant use. So that is nice. It's just kind of like a nice little AoE field, and it is low damage, so it might be nice to be using that at list level instead of a higher level where that low damage isn't really going to be doing too much for us. 5 out of 8, very nice. And let's go ahead and conjure some mana. Go ahead and just get our supply up a little bit. We get 8 mana with every single time we use our conjure mana skill, so that is nice. And we're still at a level where this water regenerates a ton of mana for us. We don't have more mana that it normally regenerates, so it's kind of nice that we get 8 at a time because it doesn't take too much, and it's also not like being in a situation where it doesn't even regenerate too much of our mana, where we are kind of waiting for the next upgrade, though there is probably an upgrade in the near future that we can go ahead and enjoy. Maybe around level 25 or 26 we'll be able to get that upgrade. I believe the upgrade for the conjure water and food come out. Oh, this is a little scary. Let's run away over here. And we are fine there. I believe the upgrade for the conjure water and food comes at like a higher level than when you're able to eat the food like level that it normally is. We just got a staff of horrors here, which is not better than what we have. But damage, oh, another skeleton right there. But damage caused by the target is reduced by 5 for 2 minutes. It's a chance on hit. And it is less damage, less intellect, less spirit. There's no intellect or spirit, so I'm not going to go ahead and equip that, but we could go ahead and save that and then maybe just sell it later to a merchant or maybe the auction house. But kind of what I've mentioned with like some of the other bind on equips that we've gotten, I don't think we're going to be able to sell these. Speaking of which, we have this dreamer's belt that we bought from a vendor that we are very close to being able to equip, just a quarter of a level away. A little bit more than a quarter of a level away, actually. And we only need 1 more rot blossom in order to complete this quest, and we need 2 more skeletal horrors, so let's go ahead and hope we get a rot blossom within the next 2 kills here. Though if you do have to wait a little bit longer, that's okay. We are getting some nice experience here. And we got our rot blossom with the next kill. Let's go ahead and just fight 1 more skeleton. I'll choose you, so we can just complete this part of the quest so it's complete. We are probably going to be fighting some of these skeletons when we are fighting the other skeletons over in Ravenhouse Cemetery, the skeletal fiends, so it's a little bit of a waste, but I still feel like we should go ahead and just complete this half of the quest here. And Fire Blast and still alive, so let's go ahead and cast Frostbolt 1 more time, and we have completed that, and that skeleton horde just respawned right there. So let's get out of here ASAP, and I'll go ahead and just spam blink, but I think we are in a safe situation here. But we completed our Gather Rot Blossoms quest, so let's go ahead and head back to Darkshire, and we can go ahead and turn this in. Let's go ahead and talk to Cavern Keep Smiths, and we can go ahead and get some zombie juice here, and then we can go ahead and deliver the zombie juice to Abercrombie at his shack, which we will do in a later episode, because as far as this episode goes, I'm going to go ahead and call it good here. I hope you all enjoyed this episode as much as I enjoyed recording it and playing through it with you all, and I hope you all are taking good care of yourselves. Remember, drink some water, check your posture, and subscribe. and I'll see you next time in the world of Azeroth. Goodbye.